Okay, everybody, we're going to do something now that's going to change the game for us. So let's take a look at a few things. Right now, we have a regular old first-person character here, and the gun is something I hear going off in class quite a bit. Just all over the place, because you have to kind of initialize it to pay attention to you, so you can make this guy move around, right? Well, right now, this guy works with pretty much everything, right? Makes all this stuff move and interacts with everything. But the thing is that we really don't need the gun. We don't need that for what we're going to be working on. So what I want to show you guys is how to strip down your first-person character, and then we're going to have some other little chores to do. Okay, so first off, let's go ahead and exit out of here, and let's take a look at our first-person character. Now, there's a few things we don't need. For one thing, we don't need our gun. So we can also just get rid of this whole spawn projectiles thing right here. We're going to get rid of a lot of the stuff over here. But you know what? We might actually want to keep our first-person character. So let's go back to our space here. And in our game view down in our content browser, or wherever you might have your content browser, click on your first-person character, right-click on it, and we're going to duplicate this guy. Okay. So let's call this FP Simple Car. For our first-person simple character. Okay, this is the one we want to change. We'll keep the old one just in case we want to go back and look at stuff or anything like that. But we're going to take a lot of things on this FP simple character apart. So let's double click on that one. Let's go in here and take a look at some things we don't really need. Open this component site up a little bit more, and let's go over to our viewport. Now we don't need the arms really, so we can just click on the gun. The skeletal mesh for the arms here, we can get rid of that. This is actually the gun for VR, so if you happen to be putting on a VR headset real quick, this one will be the one that comes up in front of you. Some other things we don't need. Let's see here. We don't need, at this point, we don't need a VR marker. If we start working in VR, we'll just start building all that stuff back in. We will use a character mesh. That's the sphere collider that we're working with. The arrow component is nice to have. We don't have to get rid of that. The capsule components are our actual collision that we have here. We also have a character movement component that comes in whenever you start working with this. We don't want to get rid of these, and we can leave the motion controllers in for now. It's not anything that it's not going to get in our way. Let's go ahead and compile, and we have some issues. Okay, now this is actually going to help us get rid of a lot of the things we don't need. So let's start with our first one right here. Target. It'll take us right to us. If we go to the compiler results and we look for the issue for this, it says scene component, therefore target must have a connection. So this one doesn't have a connection currently. If we zoom out a little bit, we'll notice that this is something to do with our motion controllers. Since we don't need this, let's see what else it's connected to. This is all part of the spawn projectile setup. So just to make things easy, let's Alt and click on this line, and Alt and click on this line, and now this is all effectively disconnected and we don't really need it anymore. So let's see what else we got. Compile. Alright, our next one that we're going to look at is up here. This is the hidden in game. So this is one that would hide, depending on if we're using VR or something else, this hides certain things inside of the game. This one, for instance, is turning it off, so we don't need that one. And this one is turning it, or actually this one is hiding it, and the other one was turning it back on. I'm pretty sure we're going to need this one gone here in just a second, but just for fun, because we've been doing this the whole time. That is the one that's having a problem. Let's go ahead and get rid of that one. And then we'll hit compile again, and let's see what else is giving us an issue. We're going to go to target. It took us into the construction script. This is something that is either going to load up a mesh for us, depending on what we're using. If we're starting in VR, or we're starting just in a first-person script. So this one we can get rid of as well. We don't have anything to worry about now. We can compile, and everything seems to be working okay. So now we can use our character, right? So we'll need to get rid of our old first-person character. We'll just click on it and delete it. We're in our game view right now, and we'll drop in our first-person character. Okay, now there's going to be some small differences here, but I'm going to show you guys how this works, how this changes things for us. For instance, let's hit play and just see what happens. Oh, hey, look, we still have the first-person character, and this is not necessarily what we want. right? I mean, this is fun and we can go back to this guy, but this is not what we wanted. What we need to do is check and see what our current player is for the default settings for this game. So to do this, what we do is we go up here to the top in our game view, go up to the top to edit. We'll go down to project settings. Okay, project settings right here. This will open up the project settings tab, and you can still see we have our map and we have our first person character as well as our copy we turned into the FP simple character. Okay, and this one, what we want to do is set the first person simple character as our default pawn. And so to do that, we're going to look down this side here. We have all settings, which will go through everything, and that takes forever. We have a setting for crypto. These are crypto keys that you might be able to use through some publishing service. Description of the game. This is things that would come up as you publish it. Gameplay tags, maps and modes. This is the one we want to look at right here. Okay. Now right now we're using the first person game mode, which is something we'll talk about a little bit later. We're going to write our own game mode. It doesn't take that much work. But we're going to get to that. And then right here we can see it's already starting the default pawn class as the first person character. We're going to switch that over. We have our first person simple character now. It recognizes that. So we're going to go ahead and use this guy. Okay, use the first person simple character. And now when we go back in here, we should be able to use our first person simple character. Hey, look at that. No gun, nothing like that. Now, one thing that's going to be a little bit different here, and I'm going to tell you that I kind of cheated on this one. Oh wow, that's working. That's interesting. Okay, cool. Let's check and see if anything else is working. That's not working. That's not working. And we're going to talk about why here in just a second. And some of you may already know why. But let's see here. This one is working over here, probably because I didn't set it to look for the first person contact. It's just allowing anybody to step up on it and it works. So the other things that we have that are looking specifically for the first person character aren't working. But let me talk a little bit about why this character came up so easily. Now, what I did was I took out the first person character and I added in this FP simple character that we just made. But really, I don't even need that. What I really need is this guy right here. And if you look over in the details, that's called player start. Now this is a lot easier to work with because you can change out whatever character you have, and even where if you don't want to have to go in and find where it's starting every time, you can just leave a start in there, and wherever you put the player start, that's going to put in your character. As long as you go into the project settings, go to maps and modes, and set your default pawn class, this is easier than maybe digging through a level after it gets pretty big. Then you just go in here and you change it over to your character, whichever character you want. And if you have multiple characters that you can choose from, this makes it a lot easier to go in and just swap this out as opposed to dragging in a new thing and having to set up all the controls and everything to identify that new character. This is just a little easier way to go about it. So let's go back into our map. We have our player start right here. Currently the arrow is pointing to the right. I know that the X is pointing away from it, but this is going to actually start us facing this direction. Okay, so an issue we have is only that we don't really know how to we can't play with a lot of the toys we had before. So what we need to do is go into and fix some of these blueprints so they do work. Now the last one we worked on was this button light right here, the platform button. And so let's go in and fix that one first, okay? And then you'll get to go through and fix all of them so it works with the FP simple character, okay? This is a nice little exercise, kind of get you a little bit loose and get you to go back through and do something kind of easy, but it's also going to refine some of your skills. Okay, so let's go right here. If we look over in our world outliner over on the side, we can see where our button plate is right here. I'm just going to hit edit button plate. This one is the cast first person character we had before. All we got to do, drag off of this thing, cast to FP simple character. Okay, and then we drag over here to our call for our bind event. Make sure we also connect up the other actor. Whoop, here we go. Connect that actor up, compile that sucker. We don't really need to do any more in project settings at this point. We'll hit play, And now I have a feeling our light turns on. Yay! Now there's a little bit of work to do on all of these now, but we are able to interact with these things, and you can change your character depending on different styles of character that you want to use. If you want to try a different ability on a character but you don't want to get rid of the old one, you want to try something new out, this would probably be the best way to iterate through your character and its abilities. Okay, so keep that in mind. What I need you guys to do is go through and make your FP simple character, and then go into all of your blueprints that you have so far that interact with a character and make it so they work with the FP simple character instead of the first person character. All right? Alrighty, learning lots of UE4, gonna have lots of fun with this, and now no more silly bang bang gun go off on every time you guys want to work with this stuff. We just hit play. Oh, and there's no more noises. Yay! Alright, we'll see you guys next time.